Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the big island of Hawaii. I'm going to go over a few things. I got a lot of shows I want to set up and do, which I am working on right now. But I want to start with where we are, what we're dealing with, how we're going to move forward. All right, the main word is truth. And then what I say is the interference with that is called ego. Now, I'm not going to go into everybody's name that I would want to put here. They might not like it. That's besides the point. But ego, how much does it play in a person's life? We all need ego to know that we are who we are. At least we're ourselves. But when we think we're better than anybody else, when we think we're more important to God, more important to spirit, then it becomes ego and not the truth. So let's start with the general idea. Ego is when the subconscious mind thinks it knows what the truth is. Mind is what the truth that you have stays within. But the ultimate truth lies within soul, and that stays within inside the body, separate from the mind always. Soul doesn't become mind, and mind doesn't become soul. I don't care what any other speaker, preacher, person ever said, they're separate. When you die, you are aware of who you are as that, a soul. You're not aware of the one universal consciousness, and if you were, let's just take that. I'm going to go around in circles. That's the way I talk, but try to follow. If you become part of the one universal consciousness, think about what it is. Oh, it's all what? All the bull, all the horrible things that are happening, the way mankind thinks. Think about it. What is the universal consciousness? If we all were part of the same consciousness, that means we all think of drinking, drugs, football, baseball, sex, rape, murder, killing, blowing up things. I mean, all those things. Is that a part of your consciousness? It is while you're here. It has to be, because that's all you see. But should it be what you become when you leave this body? It's a pretty sad thing that people want to become part of that universal consciousness. The oneness. God's not one with all of us. We want to believe it so bad we tell ourselves that it's true. We're trying to make God ignorant evil when it isn't. It's way beyond that. Its worlds are incredible when you get to God's worlds, not this world. This is hell. It will always be hell. Ever since Atlantis went down, we have been moving into the word called hell by what we do, our actions, and what we do to the planet. How we respect or disrespect people and tribes, and you name it. So let's go into ego. How has it become what it is? Well, the second word that goes with ego is called programming. So when somebody says it's my truth, we're going to split it. It's programming and it's ego. Now, ego comes from programming within inside the brain. And then when we talk about programming, how do you get programmed? Well, when you're a little child, even in the womb, when soul slips into the womb and when the body comes out, it starts hearing. I mean, just because we don't know how to speak English, the baby, doesn't mean it doesn't perceive energy and vibration, which it does. And that's what psychic abilities pertain to. So as that child comes out and starts being in a family with his parents, and whether it's 2 men, 2 women, 3 women, a regular pair, male and female, whatever their family is, maybe they're living with their grandparents, their mother and father died. Whatever their programming is that's going to start them comes from that, wherever they reside from the time they're 1 to 5 years old. And that's the basic setup for the programming. But in that programming, what do we do to children? We tell them about the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, the Boogie Monster, and then we throw in Superman. And then last resort, we throw in the Bible. So here's the programming that a little child goes through. In those years, he's also programmed to see how his parents act and what they do, what they think, how they feel. And he becomes, or she becomes, part of that. Now, in the family with 2 women, and it's a boy, They're learning female energy. They're not learning male energy. Now, when it's two men and a girl, they're learning male energy and not female energy. That's why there's a balance between male and female. But on the other hand, when somebody has three parents and they're all the same sex, they're being really imposed by a change in ideas that mankind has always had. All right, to accept the new idea. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not going to go into that right now. But as far as the children, I will say that directly. They are being programmed into a different reality, not a normal reality. If you take, like the old saying, you can't put a square peg in a round hole, but you can in today's situations. Is it helpful? Is it beneficial? To some people. But people go through the things that they're going through because they have to go out of their way to try to change who and what they are. And it costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. And then when they do, are they truly happy? And for how long? You only live on this planet, the max is 125 years. So by the time you hit 60, 70, your body starts going downhill. Oh, you keep it healthy, maybe 70, 80. But then you start seeing your family die, your children, nephews, and or grandchildren, everybody starts dying around you. And that becomes pretty sad. So if you want to live to 100 or 125 and pass it, go right ahead. That's because you're being programmed to live longer. While at the same time, science is doing everything they can to decrease the population. Every drug that comes out, every single drug, tells you it cures a disease or a sickness or a problem, while it creates 10 others. How's that legal? Well, it is. I mean, if you say you can't sell natural herbs as medicine, things that don't cause 10 other problems in your body when you take it. But it's not about that. The same is war. Why they put children on the battlefield? You think a 17-year-old child is able to defend himself and fight in the battlefield? The age should be 26 to 36. I mean, it's really, 17 to 34. But when they draft people, it's always the children. So what do you think we're doing? Killing children. Going to battle to fight with people. People with guns in their brain want to kill. And I just heard somebody in the neighborhood, their son wants to go and kill people. I mean, the programming starts when they play computer games, watch war movies all the time, and watch wrestling and boxing and all these things. I mean, super fighters and things like that. Strong men and things that when they fight, they really beat each other up. We're creating a horrible scenario for the future. The programming, which is given to us by TV, by the movies, your parents, your friends, family, religions. None of it is truly beneficial to you as a person. I'm going to break that down. I'm not going to do a long show today, but I'm going to get into a couple things as much as I can for now. I mean, I know I'm going to have people coming and things like that. It's going to be noisy, so that's why I'm not going to go too long. But okay, let's start with family. Your brothers, your sisters. They're all getting programmed by the kids, children that they hang out with. They go to school, they're a little bit older than you, and they're listening to their friends. Their friends are taking programs that they get from their family and being programmed with that. But now, because of computer world, parents try to eliminate the work that they have to do with their children. So they let them play games all day. Well, they cut their times down. Some people cut their time. Most people don't. Come to Hawaii. See how outrageously crazy it is. You play a game all day long. Well, you're not working. You're not going to do anything. So play a game. Playing a killing game. Playing a murder game. We need to look at what we call programming. It's done by your parents first. Your parents programmed you in a lot of ways. How much of it you accept or not is still your choice. But usually you don't have the option to know how right or wrong those programs are. Most people never find that out in one lifetime. So you reincarnate over and over to try to get to the basic truth, learning that you are important to yourself and nobody else. Oh, no. We twisted that idea. Then we added, we are God. Well, if you believe you're God, you have nothing to respect or work with or towards. If you're God, so what? You become God when you leave your body, and then you're the universal consciousness of all these idiots on planet Earth. Sadly to say, I would say 90% of the men on this planet are ignorant, evil. The women, maybe, I don't know. They're growing in ignorance because men are programming and making them think sickly. So it's growing for the women. It wasn't even a quarter as much, maybe 25 years ago. So this programming, what is it? What is the truth? What is your truth? That's my main thing. Truth. There's nothing else on this physical planet more important than truth, and not someone else's. Yours is important, but where did you get it from? You can't get truth from the physical world. Sorry, no matter what you believe, no matter what you do, hiding out in a cave for 40 years, going into meditation for 6 months, any of those things, you go into la la land, dream world. Sure, you can get bits and pieces of your past lives and things like that. But that's not what you're going to bring back. You're going to bring back some stupid story. Well, we got to love each other. Everybody says that. But did it help anybody in the past 100 years? It sure wasn't the Spanish. It sure wasn't the British that came into the United States and slaughtered everybody. And people talk about the Constitution. Are you that ignorant? The Constitution was half stolen from the native people. Look at the symbols. Look at the eagle. Look at the arrows in its talons. Think about it. Why an eagle? Why talons in its claws? Understand what that means, and you'll understand the native teachings, how a unity of the 5 nations formed. So let's go further. After the Constitution was created, the native people were outlawed from any part of it. They weren't allowed to use public utilities. They were considered government property. All right. And that's the human race, the white race, and the Spanish race that came into the United States. And we think we're holy. Now that Trump's this and this, everybody thinks we're respectful for what? The people that we want to respect now? Oh, what kind of races? The native people, I'm sure if they had lasers, they wouldn't have let the white people in or the British people or any of them in. Now, the only people that they dealt with was the Vikings. And they traded and bargoed and stuff. So it was a totally different thing with them. But when the Spanish and the British came in and the English, all they did was kill native people. Why do you think they created guns and let everybody have guns? To defend themselves against native people. Now what do we want guns for? To defend ourselves against every other person walking the street in case they try to do something or anything. You think you have the right to kill? Nobody ever had that right. Ever in history. I mean, I can go into that whole story. I do it a lot, but not right now. I don't have time to get into Atlantis and what happened after Atlantis went down. But we are the victims of programming. What races came here to program us? The Anunnaki, the reptilians, the Draconians, the Nordics. Yes, the Nordics people. The tall whites. All those races came here. Some of them interfered with our thinking and our programming. Some of them tried to survive with us without being part of what we are. And that didn't work. Like the giants were all killed out. I mean, when they talk about these things, do they understand every civilization is gone? Gone. Bye-bye. They're not around the corner. They're not on the ground hiding out, waiting to come say hi to us. And people in the UFO world are so programmed in a pathetic way, they believe the Anunnaki is an important race over God. That's pretty delusional and sick. But it's because of the Anunnaki and the races that were here that brought killing, rape, abuse, sacrifice to the human consciousness. It wasn't part of it. I mean, if you believe in Adam and Eve, which is a fake story based on part of a truth, but not the right truth, were they killing each other then? Of course not. But see, here's the thing. The Bible talks about God talking to Adam. And I just debated somebody. If you want to pull out a Bible, read that chapter. It's only a couple pages. Read the story of Adam and Eve 10 times. And think about everything you read when you read it. God, what's supposed to be in that, talks about his kind but he uses the word our kind. Man creates the idea that it's a man, but our kind. It didn't say my male kind or anything like that. It just said our kind. When he talked about the animals, he said our kind. Our, O-U-R. All right. But the first thing he says to Adam is a lie. Why would God have to lie to Adam? It wouldn't. Period. It doesn't. There's no need for it to lie to any of us. Second of all, you don't reward somebody by doing something wrong. He says, okay, don't eat of this tree. And they do. So now they have the awareness that they're naked and all those things, and said, since you ate of that, I'm going to give you the tree of life. So, you don't reward people. God doesn't reward us for doing bad things. It destroys the planet. It takes away from the planet when we do. When we get too far out of hand, it takes things away. Atlantis was a balanced place. And then we have races coming here that destroyed it. And they're the ones that are controlling this world now. So where do we want to go? Understanding your ego and your truth. Please text me, call in, write me, hawksblood1@aol.com. What is truth? What is your truth? God doesn't exist. Aliens do. They're gods. They're gods? You know the old saying in the movie when Superman was picking up Lois and he had her in his hands and he's flying. He goes, don't worry, I got you. And she goes, who's got you? Well, if you believe the Anunnaki created us, you'd have to say, hey, who created them? They can't even talk about that. And they don't. Because they're no better than us. They're no more spiritual. And when these people in the UFO world that are ignorant, sorry, I'll debate them any place, any second, anywhere about truth. And you'll have to listen to both sides. And then you can make a decision. But the truth is, okay, they believe in Anunnaki, they believe this story, they believe that story. But they don't want the truth. They don't know about death. Nobody talks about death, which is the most important thing. Even Buddha said we have to think about death every day. Because every second brings us closer to death, not closer to life. Life of the soul, but not life of the body. But then again, the other word that people don't want to understand or think about is reincarnation. Here's something that's going to blow all the Christians out there away. Whether you want to accept this or not, I challenge you, in the name of God, I'm telling you the truth. Directly from it. Not from Jesus, Moses, or anybody else. Not saying Jesus was teaching what God allowed him to teach, which was about God and how to get back to God. And it's not by forgiveness. Forgiveness gets you nowhere. God is the only thing able to give forgiveness to anybody. Jesus healed people. He didn't forgive them. Well, I got healed. So what? You're stuck in hell. You didn't leave. That's so you can learn how to leave this planet. And when Jesus was killed by many of his own people, Mary Magdalene had to step in and fill the rest of it. Men at that time hated women. Well, they didn't hate them, but they didn't listen to them or respect them. So here's Mary Magdalene trying to teach the disciples what Jesus didn't finish teaching them. What was he teaching them, people? It's not in the Bible. Do you ever wonder why? There's only 14, there was 40 Gospels. They picked 4. Now, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, only 2 of them were Jesus' disciples. Learn the truth. Learn the facts, at least. 2 of them were evangelists. One of them studied with Peter, and the other one studied with Paul. Paul never met Jesus physically. Never. He met him in a vision. If I have a vision and tell you my vision, mine's not real, but his was. Why? See, people think older writings mean truth. We can't tell a decent story now. Even Oprah brings somebody on and they say, well, they had their tooth pulled and everybody believes it. And it was a lie. Well, just the littlest things are lies. You can't write a story about somebody unless you live with them 24 hours, day and night. So when any story, especially about Jesus, they didn't know who he was. They didn't know much about him. But I'll tell you this, if you ever looked into his eyes, you would be a changed person. If you ever touched him, you would have been a changed person. Not because he was God, because he carried the light of God. Big difference, big separation. When he was teaching, He was talking to ignorant people, just as I am talking to ignorant people around the planet right now. If they can listen, which they won't, they'll go, well, this, and leave. But the truth is, people don't want the truth. They don't want to know where they're going to go when they die. What's going to happen to them when they die? They're forgiven. They're going to go to heaven and be with their family. Why would we want to leave here to go to another place to be with the same family that we just sat 50, 60 years with? Why? You loved it so much? Oh, I love them. Why? I mean, you love your parents because they gave birth to you? They had sex and you popped out whether they wanted you or not. It wasn't like, let's create a beautiful child, and they prayed on it and they did things and just connected on it to have it. Everybody I know when I was young had a child because they had sex and forgot how to take precautions. So is that love? Oh, he's born. Well, you created him out of what? Drugs, drinking, partying? Just cheap thrills? See, mankind takes everything, magnifies it, makes it, molds it into whatever they want it to be. And that's where ego comes into place. Whatever you think is right is true. Right or wrong, whatever you think is right is true to you. I say, is it true to you? And is it true to the world? If it's not true to this world, it's not truth of this world. Think about it. Whatever it is, if it can't relate to this reality, it's not truth of this world. It's not going to help you in this world. Truth of the higher worlds do not help you here, except it helps you realize you need to get there and not stay here, which Jesus taught. And there's only a few sentences in the Bible where Jesus actually said something and people put it down in writing. When Jesus said, in my Father's mansion there's many rooms, he couldn't say God, and man has no conception of a God today. So how could they have a conception of a God then? In the first Indian religion was Hinduism, and basically they work with deities. They're higher angels. They're angels with more power, more abilities, and more control of the realms that they dwell in. The stories about what they did here and everything, pathetic. It's all sexual. Read anything about the Hindu religions. Shiva, Durga, Kali. I studied with them. I mean, in a psychic, in the inner worlds and things like that. But what they taught me wasn't about how to build a house, how to build a pyramid, how to build a spaceship. Because soul doesn't need any of that. Soul doesn't need food. Food that we perceive. I mean, it needs the light, needs the sound, but it doesn't need anything really from this planet. So when we got aliens coming here, and I'm so involved with it, I mean, I was forced into it. It's so hard to separate that from what's going on in reality today, because people are ignorant to that. They're ignorant to Trump, why Trump's creating a space army. I mean, why after he meets Putin, Trump comes out and says, we're going to create a space army, and then a week later he says, I'm going to be president when we land on Mars. How could you say something like that unless you already didn't have a clue that we're already there? But that's besides the point. We want to believe somebody's truth. You want to believe Trump? He's destroying the planet at every level, not just the United States, the world. Look what fracking's doing to the planet. Look what fracking's doing to Puerto Rico. And they're fracking down to the fault line. Look at Turkey. Nobody knows where people are fracking, but they're fracking in many places. But the United States are allowing it. Geothermal plants are just as bad. It's another form of fracking. Taking energy out of the earth, sucking it. You ever stick that commercial where you suck the juice out of a lemon? What happens? It'll collapse. Suck anything out of something that's solid, or you think solid, it will collapse. Mankind thinks, oh, there's enough energy, enough food to last forever. Well, our ozone layer, which protected the planet for thousands of years, over the past 100 years, has dwindled to nothing. To almost nothing. In Alaska, they can't even go out without getting burnt up by the sun and things like that. So what are we doing about it? Making it worse, not making it better. Now, is nature in part of this? Of course it is. But do we control nature? Of course we do. Do you think sending rockets up into space doesn't destroy the ozone layer? When there's fires on this planet, they destroy the ozone layer. really bad. It takes about 2 years for the effects. The effects of the weather right now are because of the giant fires we had last year, and we already had them, a year before. And the ones we had this year, or last year, will make it even worse next year. Compounded by fracking. Now, the other words that people don't even know about, chemtrails, they're real. They're as real as you are. If you want to believe you're real or not, you're just a program in a program. That's your choice. If you're a program, or if you're in a dream, you're living in a pretty sick dream. What mentality would stay in an environment with killing, murder, rape, and abuse and things like that? And oh, I'm only dreaming this, so what? Why not make it an incredible dream then? Enjoy it. Make it beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful seeing children being sold into slavery, being beat up and abused and killed. Girls like in China being killed and things like that. You think that's a beautiful place to live? You call that heaven? You think a God would live here? Of course not. You think God would come here? Why would God go into hell? That's why Lucifer allowed Satan to come here. Lucifer's in charge of the lower realm, just as Satnam, Jehovah. They're on the top of the astral plane, and they control whatever comes in and out of the astral plane, meaning to the next realm, which most people do not go because you're stuck and you still have your silver cord connecting you to this body while it's alive, and then you get another body attached with a silver cord that you're attached to because you're not ready to leave this lower realm. What's your truth? Please. You know anything about death? I had 5 death experiences myself. I spent 40 years traveling in and out of my body. I work with deities, I work with angels, and I won't say what went on with God, but they're all there. There's something you go through. It's called God realization, which is the most important thing you can attain in this reality. And then self realization, which is something that people should strive for first. Now, the most abused word is called ascension. Any ignorant person, sorry, I know most of my friends and everybody, well, I went through ascension. Really? Why would you stay here if you ascended? If you went through ascension and then you ascended, you wouldn't come back here. Ascension, all right, when you go through this, that only one person that I know in all my lifetimes back to Atlantis went through it, and that was Jesus. Now, Moses went into the astral plane and he got powers and things, but he didn't become ascended master. Well, Jewish people might say that because of what he did and what he didn't do. I don't want to deal with that either. So back to ascension is a spiritual thing that happens to a soul when it ascends through, and basically it was through the gateways of the pyramid. It doesn't have to be physical. And you go into the next realm, you go through the astral plane, your silver cord's gone, and you go further than that. So ascension is purity of soul. Now, ascending, every single person that dies goes through ascending, whether they ascend to this physical world and stay here as a ghost or a spirit, or they ascend into the astral plane. People go, I went through ascension. Yeah, and you're more spiritual than you ever were, and you're thinking you're living in a spiritual place. You can't be, sorry, I've been itchy and my eyes are burning here. We got so much in the air around here. You can't go to ascension and be here and stay here. Now, ascending, when you leave the body, go to the astral plane, you stay there for 5-10 years. You pick an age, do whatever you want, but you're going to come back because you didn't learn anything. You can't. It's like in college or grade school. You need something to learn to get to the next level. You just don't move into it. And you just don't become that. Oh, no, sorry. So when we go through ascension, the first thing that happens, you go through the light. You go through the tunnel, which everybody does when they die. but you go beyond that. You go through the gateways of the astral plane. And very few people can talk about that. I challenge people to talk about that, no matter who they are. Because they probably never even got close enough to even understand that. They talk about the 9 planes and 9 places of hell and all those kind of words. You don't have to worry about them because you're here. You're going to go to the astral plane, and then all of a sudden you're going to be coming back here again. Because all the things you think you're learning do not help you understand God. It doesn't understand soul, what you truly are. I mean, I give you simple techniques to help you understand how to work with your own soul, meaning yourself. And most people don't. Soul talks and so does the mind. Mind is ego. If you learn which one is which, I promise you, you'll do the right things. They're not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect in hell. So when you learn how to do that, whatever decision you make will be better than not. Or well, there's no such thing as right and wrong. Oh, yes, there is. Good, I say good, better. I mean, you can word it that way. Well, this is okay, but if I do that, it'll be better for me. Better meaning you create less karma or you don't create karma. Karma being part of the ego. When ego's out of control, karma gets created 10 times more. How do you pay off karma? By not allowing ego to run your life. So what you do in life, no matter what it is, it's always going to be pertaining to how much money you can make. Remember, money changes everything. I just sent that to my friend. He came into money. It does. It makes things better here in your mind. It doesn't connect you to God, doesn't connect you to spirit, doesn't make you more of a light being. You could believe that and tell yourself that. Shoot a lightning bolt out of your finger. Raise somebody. Go to the hospital. Go down to the morgue. Point your finger at somebody. See if you can make them rise up and get out of there. Good. See what abilities you say you have. Oh, I saw the future. How many people come up with the truth about anything important and save mankind or save people? Talking like the story of Noah and the ark. Think about it. All psychics that say they can see, I can tell you 2 people I know. Both of them saw 9/11 happen. So what? Well, I'm psychic. I saw it. And what did you do? Nothing. Neither one of them was standing in front of the Trade Center saying, don't go in that building. Neither one of them. One was considered the top psychic in the United States. One of them was a good friend of mine who was a really incredible psychic at a certain level on certain things. So here's the thing. Any angel that all these people say they're working with is ego. A deity, all right, when it comes down as an angel. They don't have to. But an angel takes the form of what? What do you see an angel as? Do you see him with wings and a halo around your head? So obviously, if a demon wants to come to you, they're going to come to you in any way you're going to perceive them the way you want to be, to see them and assume that they're somebody else. You can challenge anything that comes to you, an angel of any kind. Well, let's take it like the Muhammad himself. He worked with an angel. The first time he met with the angel, he didn't know who it was. His brother tells him it's Gabriel. How's his brother know it's Gabriel? See, the concept is what an angel teaches. They don't teach. So when Moses came out and said, well, Moses came off the mountain and said, God, he was dealing with the deity. But when we talk about Muhammad, he was dealing with an angel. If it was Gabriel gave him 36 different, not laws, but rules, if you want to use a word. Those rules contradict each other. Go into the Quran and pull it up and read it. Read what Muhammad created part of his religion on. Everything in religion, everything in spiritual awareness relates to lies. Like aliens are going to help us ever? Like they're here to help change reality? They're more spiritual than us? No, they are here. Every race comes here. Why? Because we are spiritual if we're aware. I cannot be abducted by any alien race. Please, prove me wrong. Try to. Send your little alien friends to come and abduct me. They try. And I was almost, they tried just 2 nights ago. But I'm dealing with light ships over my house and they're blinking at me and everything else. But, they can't hurt me. I'm not even worried about things like that. I'm concerned about people saying they're working with angels. You think an angel is going to come out of its reality, world, dimension, to sit alongside of you and tell you, oh, well, you need a different job. I think you should buy a new car. Maybe you should go to the bathroom now. What do you think they're here for? Angels only bring messages. Messages that can change the world. Noah, Sodom, and Gomorrah. They were given the message before the event to do something about it. Do something about it. Not watch it. Oh, I was right. They were going to have an earthquake, and look at them. I'm seeing an earthquake coming. I don't know where it is yet. A major earthquake within 6 months. It's going to be probably over an 8. We're getting close to that already. Too close already. Like what happened to Turkey and Puerto Rico. So let's get real here. What are you here for? Why do you come to planet Earth? To have a family, to see kids grow up, get drunk, get on drugs, and have accidents and all those kind of. Is that what makes you feel good? Oh, but I love him. You love your cat? I love my dog more than anything. And if he died, he'd be going to a better place. And I'd make sure of that. So here's the thing. With all your knowledge, all your truth, where is it getting you? What can it do for the world? Anything? Can it teach the world anything important? People hate me. I'm a rebel. I call people on their lies. And obviously people don't like that. My truth's my truth. It's your truth, and that's all it is. Yours. Not the world's truth. I'm giving you the world's truth, the universal truth of God. Not the universal truth of aliens, reptilians, the Anunnaki. They never spoke about God. Their concept and what you perceive of God is this big. Imagine that. Write a book on what you know about God. Can you? Can you do more than one page? And the question I always ask, and I'll ask it to you now, I'm not going to get into it, but what is God to you? And you can't say everything. God is not everything. God is not the rapist, the murderer, the killer, the child abuser. We are. We're such a minute particle of God. We're not God. We're not one with it. You have no clue what God thinks about on a second to second or even a lifetime of your own lifetime, what God thinks about. You think it cares about what you do? Oh, I want to forgive you. For what? Being an asshole? Really? You think God says, oh, there's 10 more assholes, I'm going to forgive them. Oh, there's a billion over there. There's 7.4 billion people, and probably 7 billion of them do things that are wrong. Now, the first thing is spiritual laws. And the most important spiritual law to learn on this planet is the law of non-interference. You have no right to interfere in something else until you're invited into it. Meaning you're going to step in somebody's life or in their thing. If you're invited in, then you can do things. But to say, I'm going to pray for the world to make it better, you can't do that. You're not God. You never will be. Ever. Nobody in this realm, the astral plane, the mental plane, the etheric plane, even the soul plane, will become God. Period. On a soul plane, you'll be aware of what you are as soul, which is 1 billion times greater than what you are here on this planet. So do you want to stay here, reincarnate, or go to heaven, go to your idea of heaven and be with your family? Do it. God doesn't make people become spiritual. God only deals with the souls that do become spiritual. Where do you think the idea 144,000 people go to rise into a higher level? Because it's less than 1 million. people will ever attain awareness in this world. Sorry to tell you that. And if you think an alien's going to give you something to help you become that, really? What, the magic wand and wave it over you? Sprinkle magic dust on you? Breathe life into your body? Your life is in your body, soul. And it is incredible if you understand it. But when you allow mind to think, soul can't be what it wants to be or what it is. Soul's not a killer, murderer, rapist, any of those things. Soul is not. Mind is. Mind sees horrible things and it puts it in its thought consciousness. Doing, and people say, well, if you think of something, you're doing. No, you're not. Thinking, you take everything in and you realize what's right or wrong. Without thinking, you're a zombie. And that's even worse. So, I hope you got something out of today. I just wanted to throw some stuff out there, but I'm going to just put 2 cents in on the whole election thing right now. Republican or Democrat? What are you? Some support the rich, some support the poor. But we're mostly middle-class people. The homeless people are being pushed around, shoved around, and disappearing. I don't think there'll be too many homeless people in the next 10 years. Sorry, homeless people, but the government's doing something about it everywhere. Where are they going? What are they doing to them? Nobody really knows. Oh, they found a place? No, they just don't. We got 1,600 homeless people right now and no place to put them. So what do? They were arresting them for a while, which didn't work. They don't want to fill up the jails with people. They let them in certain places, and then they contaminated so much they have to move them. So, we created a scenario. We allowed it to get to a place where it's way beyond healing. And you're not going to wave your magic wand. You're not going to tell God to fix it. We created a problem. That's our karma. The earth has karma right now. This virus that's going to go around will affect the whole planet. It's because of the karma that we make as a consciousness. Japan created incredible karma for themselves. That's why Fukushima is still attacking them. China is one of the most evil countries on the planet. Think about what they do, what they're doing. They're creating army bases every year, floating army cities. They're not concerned about being friends with Trump. So I'm going to go further than that. Putin is kind of aware of who and what Trump is. And nobody listens. I wonder why. You could pull it up. I don't know, maybe not. On Russian TV when Trump came out and talked about Trump. And when Putin came out and talked about Trump. And he said, Trump, I want you to tell the world what happened at 9/11. 9/11. Does anybody have a clue? No. Does anybody know what really happened? No. And you let that go by. And you say, well, Congress or they should be on our side to make the truth come out about that so we know. But they didn't, and they don't. When you say Republican or Democrat, you're saying an egotistical viewpoint. The Democrats don't have anything right, and neither do the Republicans. So how are we going to create a society to move forward in a good way? We're not. Unless we change Congress completely. Oh, they're not going to give up there. How many old people hanging on by a thread? They don't know what's happening. They know nothing about the serious problems that's causing the problems of the planet right now. When thousands of elk were dying, when thousands of deer were dying all across the United States, herds and herds were dying. Did anybody talk about it? When millions of birds fall down out of the sky, oh, well, they shot fireworks off. They don't tell you the truth ever. And in the UFO world, it's even worse. John Ford, who's in Long Island Nut House, was the first person to shoot the best video of a ship crashing on this planet in Long Island. And they framed him. They said he had uranium and he was going to kill Congress. Another retarded idea. And now he should be going to court, but they won't let him. Every year the government can come out and say he needs re-evaluation, which means another year. So he's been in since 1967. 97, sorry. Check out, you can't check out the video. He sent it around the world so 4 people have it. It only gets released if he dies. But he should have released it, and they wouldn't have done anything to him because they couldn't have. It would be too late. If you have proof, bring it out now. Don't wait, because down the road they will come after you for the truth, so that you don't put it out there. I don't know. I would like to go a lot further, but I just feel I gave you something to think about at least for today. Think about it. Can you? Will you? Do you want to? I know people think I'm crazy, whatever. That's your choice. But I believe in God. I believe Jesus was the most spiritual person to ever walk this planet, probably will ever be, even though he wanted somebody to come after him, which didn't happen. Why? Think about it. Think about all these little scenarios that, oh, Jesus is going to come back and save us. Save us from what? Committing the sins that you're doing? He's just going to forgive you? Let's take all the murderers and bring them up into heaven and purify them. Well, guess what? The reason why soul came here because it had free will. Now let's take away its free will and program it to make it do what I want it to do now. God's not stupid. Do people really think God is that stupid? I sure think they do. That's why they're here. That's why soul reincarnates over and over here. And it's not allowed into the higher beautiful realms. And they do get better. I mean, the astral plane is better than here, but go to the causal and the etheric planes. Mental plane just gets better and better. I mean, multiply numbers. See, the concept of like we have what four primary colors, but basically black and white are shades. Imagine having 32 primary colors. Well, that's impossible. Well, we only perceive what we have. Go to a higher dimension, vibration. I mean, imagine colors vibrating at a vibration rather than just seeing it blue. So, beyond the concept of human thinking, which is our programmed ideas, there's much more to learn and work with. If you're willing to let go of the programs that you think that are helping you here. Be nice, pray for everybody, be good. Be good? Somebody's going to blow up Russia or somebody's going to blow up China. Well, let's just say sorry, don't do it, please don't. And then forgive him when he does. Killing is not acceptable. Carrying guns is not acceptable. Sorry, people, your rights. Your rights to what? Kill? Who gave you those rights? Thomas Jefferson created the Patriotic Bill, which was rearranged after 9/11. After 9/11, it gave the government the right to follow and check and do all these things to people, right? But when Thomas Jefferson created the Patriotic Bill, you had the right to form a militia. Read it. Find out about it. A militia is a group of people realizing that the government system's not working and they change it forcefully. And we had the right to do that. Thomas Jefferson put that clause into the Constitution. After 9/11, it was reworded. Now, if you form a terrorist group, a militia, it's called a terrorist group. You need to know these things because we don't have the right to take out Congress. We should. When they're not working for the beneficial of all the humans in the United States, it's not working right. You can't work for the rich and you just can't work for the poor. And we don't need either. But ego becomes power. Power becomes money. Money becomes ego. Horrible cycle. Anybody with money, 99.9%, the ego runs the reality. I've been dealing with Oprah for 22, 24 years, trying to get a single letter to her. She won't reply. She's so ingrained in ego. And she openly says, I have no ego. Really? She has no karma. Really? Because she works with Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle. Both of them are for a word, stuck in the physical reality. They know nothing. Deepak Chopra talks about the stepping back and being the oneness of in the moment, in the background of it. But Eckhart Tolle is very similar, except when Oprah asked him, "What about death?" he couldn't even answer it. He said, "Well, my mother died, my father died." Oh, wow, that's telling us a lot about death. Thank you for that information, because they don't understand it. Now, Buddha never made it past the astral plane in the physical body, because the oneness, energy, and all that is when you're trying to go past the astral plane, being one with God, impossible. Imagine an entity being billions of miles wide instead of you being one cell wide. Can you take over that body? Of course not. Do you have the ability to? No, you don't. And if you think any stupid, ignorant alien, whatever race they are, no matter what they say to you, mean what they say to you? Or even know? I challenge everybody out there speaking, and they're all afraid to debate me or talk to me in public. I want to do it in public because I want people to see what ignorance that they come out with. All the people around ancient aliens. My theory is you're full of theories and no truth. Well, there was a pyramid there. Yes, so? You have no clue what the pyramid was doing. How many people lived inside that pyramid? Why did they all make one pyramid for who? Gods, egotistical gods, meaning alien gods, human gods, that consider themselves to the people they work with as a controlling factor. Why is it no races are here? Why did they all leave? Well, 9 races were here in Atlantis, 5 left, 4 stayed. The 5 that left became spiritual beings. Didn't need to stay here. But one of each race that left, the 5 races that left outside of the black, red, yellow, and white race, purple, blue, green, crystal race, all those races, one of each one became a deity and work on a certain realm going back to the higher realm. Facts, whether you want to believe it or not, or trace it out or find those facts, you can. Try going past the astral plane. That's the first step of growth, when you can. I'll give you one clue on that. You cannot have the silver cord attached to you. So, I'm going to cut it here. Like I said, I don't want to go too long today. I don't want to make you if you're listening at all, you might listen 5-10 minutes, because you don't want the truth. You don't want to know that everything you have in your brain is a lie. Soul has the awareness, not the brain. The brain is just like a computer. You type a sentence in there and put save, it's saved in the computer. Does that make it real? Does it make it right? Does it do anything? No. So with that, think about it. Think about what God really is. Think about what you really are. Who taught you? What did you learn? What spiritual truth do you know? Love is the answer? No, it's not. It's not the answer for anything. Not the love we have in this reality. And if you say you love God, you have to know God to love it. It's like saying I love a drop of water in the ocean, but one specific drop somewhere out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, so? Until you understand God, can you understand love? What do you think more people daily, weekly, are becoming separated and divorced? Not less. So with all the technology, with all the wisdom and everything else we supposedly have, we're going backwards. Well, I appreciate it if you listen to this. Enjoy. I hope you got something out of it. My email is hawksblood1al.com. I do give my first 2 books away for free. How to See God and When Truth is Called Crazy. When Truth is Called Crazy is my autobiography up until years ago, but it has a lot of stuff in there. My other book is When Truth Beyond the Illusion. And my newest, most important book, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. And that's the ultimate goal before I die, to keep that promoting that in my reality. Meaning this one. All right. You heard it here. Till next time. which I'll probably be doing a show Tuesday. I'll probably do it on this site with Tina Bird. Uh, Tune in. She's been abducted half of her life. So you need to realize the truth's out there. Just got to find it. And when you do, you got to hold on to it. Thank you. Peace, compassion, whatever you need in your life. Well, I'm still alive. I'm not ending. I don't know why not. That'd be interesting. I can't end my show. I'll have to keep doing it.